Oh, hey everyone, Charlie here. So before I came to Japan, the whole 27 or 28 years before that, I think I collectively washed my face about 5 times. 5 times in 28 years. Yes, is that disgusting? You bet it is. And the longer I stayed here, the more I began to notice how people's skin was a lot healthier than mine. I would notice that, for example, people didn't really have blackheads. And not to say nobody had them. I began to notice, for example, that by and large, people didn't really have as many blackheads on their nose, their faces, the skin on their face didn't look tired all the time. And so, not wanting to stand out more than I already do as a foreigner, I began to wash my face every night, put on toner after washing my face. And so naturally this got me to thinking, does living in Japan make you more vain? Let's talk about that. One second, there's one more thing I have to do. Okay. Right, so point of clarification before we get started. I don't think vanity in small doses is such a bad thing, right? Like, sure, vanity can make you kind of a self-centered asshole, but it can also drive you to do really incredible things, right? Like, how many people, artists in particular, I think, struggle a lot of times with what they're going to leave behind. I know that for example, I often wonder that as someone who's chosen to focus more on art than on, say, science, for example, something that gives like these definite things to the world, what will I leave behind? And so my vanity pushes me to actually create things and maybe leave something behind for myself that people can enjoy or whatever, right? And vanity is actually how I went from looking like peanut allergy Batman after a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to this finer form you see before you today. So I guess what made me think about this, right, is that looking around here in Japan, sort of one of the things I talked about at the opening of the video was seeing people's skin, right, or seeing the way people dress and feeling like I was standing out more than I normally would just on account of being a foreigner, right? One of the reasons I've chosen to eat healthier, for example, since I've been here and exercise more since I've been here is because if I'm going to stand out, that's fine, but I don't want to stand out for being an American stereotype, right? Like, my vanity won't allow me to do that, I think. It also seems like from a very young age, Japanese people are sort of instilled with the importance of outward appearance, right? Because at the end of the day, no matter what we say, what people observe of you, right, it absolutely matters, and I think probably here that is more true. And so, of course, this made me even more self-conscious, not just my weight, but also the way I dressed. When I came here, and again in that Batman picture, on my days off, I would dress in a t-shirt, a pair of shorts, or a pair of jeans, and now I still do that somewhat, but the way the t-shirts are cut, for example, is meant to be, they're higher end t-shirts, right? Like, I'm not just wearing Hanes around or whatever, which again, this is not a judgment, but today is my off day and I'm wearing a blazer and slacks. Jesus, I sound like my grandfather. But anyway, you get the point. And so, naturally, I think I wondered whether or not I was the only one in Japan who would ever, not the only one in Japan, the only foreigner, I should say, who would come to Japan and suddenly realize, like, wow, I experience this paradigm shift. So of course I reached out to the YouTube community, and here are some of the responses I got. Bernie of Be My Life, for example, said that when she was in Japan, she felt more conscious about generally the way she looked and also about how she dressed, which obviously that's pretty much what I've been saying as well, right? And then Shivers of Shivers in Japan said that she felt a little more self-conscious about her hair and also the width of her shoulders, which I think is a pretty common one given that Westerners are generally built more stocky than Japanese. So, yeah, I mean, obviously by no means is this sort of study quality data, right? But it is nice to see other people sort of experiencing this sort of sudden bit of self-consciousness, I guess. That said, I really did want to dive into some hard statistics about things like the cosmetics industry here in Japan, and particularly how it compares to that in the United States, which is where I'm from. Surprisingly for me, the data between the two countries doesn't actually seem to be all that different. By and large, the United States, like I would venture to guess most places in the world, focuses most of its marketing for cosmetic goods, whether that's makeup or cleaning products or dyes, what have you, on women, right? And the same can absolutely be said about the Japanese market. However, I do feel like, if only slightly, the marketing is a little more even here in Japan. Like, I still haven't seen any makeup for men, don't get me wrong, or makeup that's like particularly marketed for men, but I will say that everything from skin toner to different types of face washes to different types of strips to take the blackheads out of your nose, like all these different things, they're a lot more varied and a lot more sort of out there as far as marketing goes than back home for me. That again is just another observation, but diving into the actual data, according to the Japan Cosmetics Industry Association, which is a terrible name, I feel like, the average two-person household spends upwards of 35,000 yen per year on cosmetics. And for the sake of simplicity, that's right. We'll say that's like $350, right? But it's actually more towards like $300 or so. And then I couldn't find any household data for this on cosmetics in the United States, so I didn't really look all that hard. But women in America per year spend something like $215 on cosmetics. Anyway, guys, that's all I really have to say about this topic, but of course I am really interested to turn it over to you and see what you guys have to say. If you've been here for a couple weeks or you've been here for a lot longer, I would really like to know if you feel like you consciously changed the way you dress, your hygiene habits, whatever the case may be, to fit in better, right? To look better according to local standards, I guess. But on that note, guys, thanks as always for your support. Thanks for watching. If you did in fact like the video, please like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon indeed. Cheers.